Do you ever stare at the fridge after Thanksgiving wondering what to do with all that leftover turkey? You've already had sandwiches, maybe even soup, and now you want something that feels fresh again. This turkey pot pie does exactly that. It's cozy, creamy, and transforms leftovers into something completely new. No canned soup needed. Hi, friend, come on in. When we make a turkey, we always have plenty left, and I don't like wasting food. This pot pie uses what you already have leftover turkey, vegetables, and even gravy if you've got it, and turns them into a comforting meal that doesn't feel like a rerun. Let's start with the filling. In a large pan, I'm heating 1 to 2 tablespoons of oil. Add 1 small diced onion. I'll also add in a couple of stalks of celery once the onions have softened. This is the only fresh produce you really need, unless you don't have any leftover vegetables. You can also add garlic if you want to peel it. Let the onions get a little color for extra flavor, or just sweat them until they soften. Add the celery now to soften it. Once they're cooked, remove from the pan and set them aside. You can leave them in if you prefer, but it's easier to avoid flour clumps if the pan is clear. Now for the sauce base. Melt about 4 tablespoons of butter, or in my case, I only had 2, so I'll show you how to adjust if you're short. Once the butter melts, add the same amount of flour and cook for about 2 to 3 minutes. This cooks out the raw flavor and gives your roux that nutty aroma. Slowly whisk in 1½ cups of stock. Turkey stock is perfect here. You did save your bones and make stock, right? Otherwise, chicken or vegetable stock works too. This should thicken into a nice gravy-like base. If you don't have stock or you just want to use what's on hand, here's the shortcut. Use leftover gravy instead. Just warm up about 1.5 cups. It saves a step and uses up another leftover. Once your gravy base is ready, add in about 1/2 cup of milk, cream, or half and half, whatever you have. This makes it creamy and rich. If your sauce is too thin, whisk a couple of tablespoons of flour into the milk before adding it. Or make a quick flour and water slurry to thicken things up once it's simmering. If it's too thick, just add a splash more milk, stock, or water until it reaches your desired consistency. For pot pie, I like it a little thicker than gravy so the filling doesn't run. Season to taste. A little salt and pepper are a must, but this is your chance to build on your turkey's flavor. Add sage, thyme, or savory, whatever fits your leftover sides. I went simple with onion and garlic powder and plenty of pepper. Taste and adjust before moving on. Once the sauce is seasoned, stir your onions and celery back in. Add about 1½ to 2 cups of vegetables. This can be leftover peas, carrots, corn, or even diced sweet potatoes. Then fold in about 1 to 1½ cups of cooked turkey. This is a great way to stretch a small amount of meat and still make it feel like a full meal. If you're using a double crust, you can even mix in cooked potato chunks to bulk it out. But I'm going with a bottom crust and mashed potato topping, like a cross between pot pie and shepherd's pie. Crust options also include a double crust, a top crust only, a biscuit layer, or a puff pastry top crust. Pour the cooled filling into your prepared bottom crust, then spread your warmed mashed potatoes over the top. If your mashed potatoes are a little runny, stir in a bit of flour first so they don't sink into the sauce. Warm potatoes spread much easier than cold ones, and sealing the edges up against the crust helps prevent bubbling over. You can brush the top with melted butter or just dot it with small pats of butter for a rustic look. Score the top, Those ridges will crisp and brown beautifully in the oven, adding great texture and flavor. Bake at 350 Fahrenheit or 175 Celsius for about 45 to 60 minutes until the crust is cooked through and the edges are bubbling. If you want a little extra color on the potatoes, pop it under the broiler for a minute or two. Just keep an eye on it so it doesn't burn. Let the pot pie rest for about 10 minutes before serving. It'll be a little loose, but it'll taste rich, savory, and comforting. The perfect way to turn leftovers into something worth looking forward to. If you used leftover gravy, you've made this almost entirely with what you already had, maybe just adding a bit of milk, butter, or a pie crust. You can make it again anytime with a rotisserie chicken and frozen mixed vegetables for an easy weeknight dinner. How do you like to use your leftover turkey? Let me know down below. We could all use more ideas for post-holiday meals. If you love learning how to make your meals from scratch and get the most out of your pantry, be sure to hit that subscribe button. I've got more recipes and techniques coming your way. Thanks for hanging out with me today.